Hello, everyone. Very good evening from Singapore, but also a very good morning, I suppose, from Spain and also from Malaysia, India, and Vietnam. My name is Valentina Riccardi, and I'm Associate Director with the Culture Department at the Asia Europe Foundation, and I'm very happy to welcome you this evening for a conversation with 4 artists selected through an open call by ASEF in partnership with Casa Asia. The project is a virtual residency program which ended last week and was for a period of 6 weeks, where our 4 selected artists worked together on the theme of home, at home being home. I want to first introduce my partner, Gaëlle Patin-Laloy. She will speak a little bit about Casa Asia involvement in the project, and then I will introduce the artist and the mentor to you. Gaëlle, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gaëlle Patin-Laloy, and I'm in charge of intercultural programs at Casa Asia in Barcelona. I am here representing Casa Asia, which is an institution of public diplomacy based in Spain with headquarters in the city of Barcelona, working on the promotion of Asian culture and politics and society, and on the relations between Asia and the Pacific and the Spanish civil society. We are very happy to collaborate in the project with ASEF, and in particular with ASEF Culture360 in the e-residency for young artists project. In spite of travel restrictions and lockdowns in both regions, we have been able to create an opportunity for young emerging artists from Spain, Vietnam, and Malaysia, from the visual arts and the performing arts sectors, together with the mentor, Jay from Bangalore, to meet, to dialogue, to exchange, and to create together. We want to go further, the dialogue and the joint creation, especially with thousands of kilometers and different languages, is very an interesting adventure. With the extended network of Casa Asia in Spain and of ASEF also in Europe, this project is also a platform for the artists to show their works in other countries. We really hope we can continue in the short future to create more opportunities for young professionals in synergy with ASEF. I'm eager to discover today, together with you, how the artists reflected together on the concept of home in these difficult times, and how they use their own language to establish dialogue and co-create. Thank you, Valentina.
Thank you, Gaëlle. Maybe just a few words of introduction on the residency before I introduce the real participant of this conversation. Just a bit of on the context, as Gaëlle also mentioned, with the onset of this global pandemic last year, residency programs across the world have really had to adapt their formats to survive. And we've restricted or zero mobility. Most have initiated new initiative models of exchange that have happened online. In this context, ASEF and Casa Asia have decided to develop this e-residency with a strong component on mentorship as well. At Home Being Home is dedicated to young, very young, emerging artists from the performing arts and new media and visual arts. So the 4 artists that will talk with us today have been working together for 6 weeks, exclusively online. And the interesting thing is 2 of them have submitted their proposal together, so they've known each other previously, while the other 2 didn't know each other, and we kind of introduced them through this program. What did they work on? We gave them a theme. The theme of the residency is the idea and concept of home in times of pandemic. So with this current pandemic environment, stay at home has become like a common term around the globe. And at the same time, it has questioned our habits and our way of living, embodying both a comfortable and forced sensation. So in order to mitigate the impact of the pandemic, people have been asked to stay home except for essential tasks. And this truncated existence, we have had to reacquaint ourselves with our homes and the structures and the physical environment we live in. It is not only a space for shelter, But now it is also an office, a classroom, an exercise studio, a playground, and many other things. It has become a space where we feel protected, but also confined from others, where physical contact is restricted, but where the virtual world has definitely expanded. Homes used to be spaces where people would escape, but now with lockdowns, it's kind of the escape from home that we are looking at. Home is also more than a place, it's a concept, it's an idea, it's a memory, an imagination, a non-physical and barrierless concept which embodies a space that is identified as home. It is our neighborhood, our cities, our country, basically the entire globe. So what is home and what does being at home mean? And what does being away from home mean? Are new ideas and motion of home emerging? Are people envisioning different kinds of realities and homes? These are some of the questions and some of the ideas that our 4 selected participants worked on in the last 6 weeks. Let me introduce them. So first of all, we have Luvenia Kalia and Lucas Alvarez Garcia. Luvenia is from Malaysia. She's a multidisciplinary artist with dance as her main core practice. Lucas is a dancer, contemporary dancer and choreographer. These 2 participants, Luvenia and Lucas, knew each other earlier, and they've worked on the idea of home as part of the body. So they will give us more details on that, and they will talk to us about their work and how they've sort of conceptualized and worked in the last 6 weeks. On the other hand, we have Eva from Spain. Hi, Eva. And Joe from Vietnam. Joe and Eva have kind of got to know each other through the residency. So I think even more exciting in a way, because it's really, bringing different ideas through this residency and sort of exploring them together in the last 6 weeks. And together with them, we have Jay Palazhy, who has worked with them. Hi, Jay. Jay is the director of the Attakkalari Center for Contemporary Dance in Bangalore, India. He has mentored our 4 young artists through these 6 weeks, and he will help us to go through this conversation and the process of what they've worked on together through this conversation. So I will leave it to Jay to sort of introduce the work of our 4 artists and give them the floor. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Valentina. So I'm so happy to be here. Actually, I'm in a remote mountainous area of Kerala, southwest part of India. First of all, I'm Jayachandran Palazhy, artistic director and choreographer at Attakkalari Center for Movement Arts, Bangalore, India. I really would like to thank Valentina Riccardi, Preeti Goankar, and their team at ASEF, and Gael Patin Laloy, Christian, and their team at Casa Asia for setting up this visionary project, especially in these difficult times when artists and communities are grappling with the aftermath of the pandemic and its continuing impact on people in general. All of us know in the last several months, actually more than 1.5 years, we had hell of a time, sometimes reflecting, sometimes worrying, sometimes dreaming, sometimes hoping against hope that these things will pass. And performing artists and artists in general, they really missed out the connection between and the proximity between people and the proximity to their audiences or their receivers. And what this residency offered was this great chance to go across geographies, to be able to connect with the artists and communities. And I think this is invaluable. So I really appreciate the thing, this platform, both Casa Asia and ASCF has offered to the artist community in Asia and Europe. It was so heartening that the At Home and Being Home project caught the imagination of many artists across Asia and Europe as well. It was indeed so special to go through so many inspiring and varied proposals from artists, from diverse backgrounds, nationalities, and cutting across geographies. Of course, we only had the possibility to offer 2 pairs the residency. That means only 4 artists, but that is how the reality sometimes is. So I would like to congratulate Joe from Vietnam and Eva from Spain, also Lovenia from Malaysia and Lucas from Spain for their wonderful contribution to the residency. You've been fantastic, guys. Very good. So I really enjoyed talking with them, and I'm grateful for the wholehearted welcome all of them have afforded me and allowed me to enter their world and creative processes. I think this is invaluable. My role was primarily to be a mirror and often be a fly on the wall and help them to crystallize their thoughts and ideas. Now I'm going to hand over the stage to the artists themselves for their presentation. First of all, let me invite Joe and Eva to present their work. And maybe after you presenting and your own words, maybe I might have a question for you. So over to Joe and Eva.
Hello. It's very nice to be here and to put an end to this fantastic experience. We've created a virtual neighborhood containing buildings from Vietnam and Spain, flooded by water as it floods the earth and our hearts. We've added the voices of people who are not there, nor never they will be, making them a soundscape of a pixelated dwelling, making it more human, making it as alive as it could be, virtual as impossibility. It was a positive challenge to try and find a way of working together and making our interests meet, since we were complete strangers at the beginning of the residency, apart from the wiki deadlines, that even though we are very used to them, it's always tricky to make the ends meet every week and everything. After some researching and talking about our interest and what we could connect in our thoughts about home and house, we've ended in this 3D environment, which enabled us to combine very different disciplines in a single place. We've got video, we've got drawing, we've got music, and we've got 3D sculpture. And also, it allows us to display the process of each week, in addition to the end result. Now, Jo is showing the first week house she created. And this is our brainstorming, the first video, the visuals, and everything. And now we are going to pass to the second house, the second week. All of the graphics and the 3D movements, the houses, and except one house, all is created by Joe and his amazing capability of 3D creating. And she made a little model of a house too. The text we published on the second week. And the idea of this environment and this digital project is to invite the strangers to our house. Like if we create, since the lockdown and the borders make us impossible to physically visit or be guests in somebody's house, we've created a virtual house where anybody can come in and wander through our rooms and through our inhabiting. Then we will share the link to everybody, and it's very easy to enter. You only need a computer and a connection to internet. I think it can be entered through mobile phone, but it's slower. And there is the other house. This is my house. From my part, I rode the wave and continued a personal project about home and words. I translated a little poem, these words that were flooded by water in the center of the door. A little poem, and made it inhabit each room of the house, alongside with a sound landscape created from overlapping sounds and odors of a long ago empty house. The crowds of people that we, both of us created, she recorded people from Vietnam, I think her kitchen, maybe. And I recorded people from the south of Spain, the streets of the south of Spain, and we put it each one on the ending of this street, this neighborhood, to give it life and to give it meaning.
I just want to have an input that because it's easier if you have the link, so you can listen to the soundscape and can navigate yourself like a video game. So that screen share is just an introduction of our experience, but please do click on the link so you can experience yourself to fully get what we need, because we want people to interact with the space. So for example, the stool, it's very common object in Southeast Asia, where people enjoy outdoor activity and communication. So you can interact with that, you throw it here and there. So we can have a cafe, a chat, and smoking outside. Just put a chair, and then we have a great conversation together. So I get back to what Eva just left. So I think it's a quick fix that you can let into the stay later, but I can show you into the process that we're building together in week 3. So we a bit so when we settled out that we would work on Mozilla Hub, and I'm thinking about the context of natural disaster in Vietnam, especially in central Vietnam, where they have a lot of flood and draining. So that's why that river is a part of the real scene. So as you see here, the ancient house and the flood, it actually happened in real life in central Vietnam, and I want to put it up. So that connect to what Eva did, that she put the soundscape, and what Jane told us that, hey, I will put my house, I will put the soundscape, I put the poem, something like that. I just want to explain the context that why we have the port here. And as far you can see the video, that the 3D animation I made also based from that experience when I have a business trip to the central Vietnam. Eva, feel free to add anything that you want, because I feel awkward to speak along myself.
Okay, thank you, Jo. And as Jo said, we invite everybody to actually enter this virtual space and to interact with everything that is displayed there. And I think there is nothing else we...
Okay, at that point, Eva and Jo, maybe I will ask you a couple of questions. Maybe it is intriguing for us to see how you decided to place these 2 houses in this particular environmental situation, as Jo was mentioning, the annual floods, and how you came about that process. And then more generally, I would say, could you explain what was the concept of the whole process, which you explained really a little bit, maybe a little bit of the creative processes, how you chose the objects, what was the process of creating the house, and any learning curve you had. First, I will give it to Eva.
Okay. Well, I've said about a little about it before. We've ended in this 3D environment thanks to Jo, because she knew about it. At the beginning, we were looking for a way where we could construct together, to build together at more or less the same time from each of our homes, the project. And she introduced me to this Mozilla Hub, that it's a 3D space where you can insert 3D models and videos and wherever you want. And since we also were looking for a free process of creating, we weren't searching for any specific discipline nor any specific result. We just wanted to play and to wonder about the concept and try to get it farther than we could get in the beginning. So that's why we choose this video game aesthetic, where we can enter everything that we were making. And the concept around this is this neighborhood where we all could inhabit, this neighborhood containing two very different and two very far away type of houses, type of neighbors. And the inviting thing about the... sorry, I got blank. Yes, the link thing about being a way of inviting somebody to our houses and to creating a fictional and maybe utopic neighborhood where everybody could inhabit, nevertheless, where they are from, what language do they speak, and as far away as they are. I don't know if Jo wants to add anything.
I just think it's just fun and interactive. That's all I want to do for my practice. So for me, everything I do, I just want to send a clue, and then people will explore it. So I think Mozilla Hub is the best way, and also because just into technology. So I hope that my skill and my knowledge can contribute to the collaboration. Yeah, and I think like in this residency, we kind of like push our possibility and our comfort zone a bit. Like for example, if I more into performance and then movement, but as you can see at week 5, I just got my motion capture, and I also play around with it a little bit and try to make some dance. And for Eva part, she also try to work on 3D. So I think that's the amazing thing when you keep creating and you keep learning.
Thank you, both of you. It was wonderful to hear your thoughts. And I think it's what was interesting is that coming from such a diverse background, how you really explored new territories. And it was fascinating for me to watch. Now let us move on to Lucas and Lavinia. So first of all, you could present your work and then and explain the processes, and then I will have some questions. Over to you.
Well, hello to everyone. I'm Lucas, and it was a pleasure to share this online residency with Lavinia. In our case, it was different for us because we knew each other since 2019, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. And we already worked together. We already know how we create, how we express ourselves with our body. So we have like a starting point for our project. Also, yeah, it's different because you already know the person. I've been in Malaysia at her house. She has been in Spain at my house, so we already know how were our homes for this residency topic. And yeah, if Lubenia can help me, we are going to share like a little bit of the things that we started from to create the project. Yeah.
Can everyone see this? Yeah?
Yes, Lubenia, we can.
Okay. I'm just going to play the video. Enjoy.
España en cuarentena por el COVID-19. El gobierno español aprobó este sábado un decreto que oficializa el estado de alarma durante 15 días que limita lo imprescindible los desplazamientos de los ciudadanos. Al cierre de aulas a partir de este lunes se suma ahora el cierre de bares.
Que oficializa el estado de alarma durante 15 días que limita lo imprescindible los desplazamientos de los ciudadanos. Al cierre de aulas a partir de este lunes se suma ahora el cierre de bares.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me. This was a really interesting process. I think Lucas and I have worked together in person, and now we've explored a whole new way of working online. And strangely, even though we are in the studio together, in the studio you kind of take off one outfit and put on another persona. You come in and you know, okay, I'm here, I'm going to dance and this is what you're going to do. But I think with this Zoom collaboration, you hear the crying baby, the dog comes in, you're almost in a more like intimate space in a different kind of way. So I think without the physical touch, we have something else that is a different kind of intimacy. So I think with our process, we went week 1 to week 6, we tried connecting rooms to body parts, understanding our relationships with different spaces in our house. We explored colors, what the colors mean to us. And Jay guided us and gave us a lot of these references, artists to look into, to gain inspiration from. And then eventually we noticed the differences in location. And like with the pandemic in Spain, it was a lot more free, and here it was still a little bit more restricted. And maybe in the final video you see a little bit of that towards the end. I think one of my favorite parts is when Lucas is getting ready to leave the house and you have the news noise going on. There's an overlay of me just like still being at home. So I think that was a reflection a little bit about where we were in the residency with our mobility, because Lucas was on tour and we were still kind of in lockdown, and slowly now we're a bit free. But yeah, that's a little bit about some of the process. Lucas, you have...
Yeah. Also, the video, it's like an invitation, as Lubenia said, of a different view of the intimacy. Also, when we perform, we tend to create a scene always to share something. In this way, it was harder because you cannot play with the fantasy. It's the reality. So our reality was sharing our lives from inside and seeing how we connect with our home, with our body, how our body and our home are connected, because it was the only thing that we can share for this residency. So for us, it's also like an open our lives to everyone and share it with everyone. Also, the process was very different from process that I had before, because as Lubene said, we cannot like connect in the studio and touch and feel to the other person. So yeah, it was also a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and the title that we gave our video was Hogarku. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I know a few Spanish words, yeah. Right, Lucas? I do. So as Lucas was teaching me that another word for like home is hogar, which is a word I've never really heard. I think usually we hear casa, because mi casa, su casa is like a very international almost saying. And then ku is like aku in Malay is me. But usually we cut off the a and we say like my house is rumahku. So we merge the languages together. And if you listen to the music, one is a environment outside in Spain with a little bit of music and some chatting going on, because I think subconsciously that's where we want to be. At least I want to travel to Spain again. So maybe it was, thinking about being outside even when we're inside. And then paired with gamelan, which is not necessarily Malaysian. It's something it's an instrument that I learned here when I was younger, but it's Southeast Asian, I would say Indonesia, Malaysia. We all have this instrument in common. So we merge those things together with Jay's mentorships and ideas of like how we want to create sound for the video edit. Yeah.
Yeah, I also mentioned that it also have like a contrast of timings, because as Lubinia said, I was already going out and in of my home with freedom, but Lubinia, I still have like these restrictions going on. So it also like the video, it also has like these 2 points of view of different realities at the same time in different parts of the world. Yeah. Also mentioned that Lubenia was really helpful because she made the edition of the video. Yeah, it was also really nice to work with her again. Also all the helpful and the guides that they gave to us each week after week was really helpful. Also to to understand a different point of view, because when you are stuck on your idea, sometimes it's really nice to have like a different feedback or different ideas that you are not watching it, because someone from a side can give a different perspective.
Yeah, and I want to say that even though we know each other before, being in different continents, everybody doesn't necessarily keep in contact all the time. So I think the residency has kind of forced us to chat with each other every day. Sometimes it wasn't just setting meetings. We would send voice notes, something, I personally, like, the best ideas come to me when I'm in the kitchen or I'm on the way somewhere. And, it's just nice to have that freedom to like send Lucas a voice note. We should do this, or he will do the same. So it kind of made us have connection and conversation throughout the 6 weeks, which maybe was the most we've had since we've known each other, maybe.
Yep, definitely. Just to share a funny, let's say, thing. Luvinia, do you know why these ideas came to you when you are in the kitchen? Because we said that the kitchen will match with the head in the project. So that's the reason why.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Now, talking about the ideas of association, while Joe and Eva's project was quite a lot to do with the environment, architecture, and how you visually represent something or visually make a presence. Whereas you are talking about much more embodiment. Like Lucas was mentioning, maybe you could say a little bit about how both of you assigned each part of your body to different rooms and how you then started to exchange that idea. In India, for example, we have a concept about the tower is the head and things like that. But for you, for example, Lucas, it was the kitchen, which was the head. So like that, maybe if you could explain a little bit how you negotiated this idea of association.
Yeah. Do you want I start or you do?
Yeah, okay, we go with the kitchen. For example.
Yeah.
I had different ideas of what body part was connected to the kitchen. And then after we talked about it, we debate and we say, oh no, this and this and this. We thought, oh yeah, the head is connected to the kitchen because in the kitchen, it is a task-based room. Almost like, well, maybe I don't hang out in my kitchen. I go in my kitchen with something in mind. It's usually food. Or we're trying to be creative in the kitchen. We're trying to put something together to fill our tummies. So how we reflected it in the video is we use movement that is initiated with the head. And there was some movement of the head moving around. And every time we move, we're using the head. So we've kind of, with that association, we brought it into movement. Yeah. Lucas, you want to share maybe another room? The feet?
Yeah, also the living room, it was the back, if I'm not mistaken. So as Luvinia said, we started our moving we started moving, leading by that part. In that case, is the back, because you always find the comfortable place to put the bag. Now I'm laying, now I'm sitting down. So we thought that the back, it's also a good association to this. Also, the idea of being connected, the spine also is everything connected with the living room. Always the living room is when you connect with the people, how it also gives like a three-dimensional to the space. Yeah.
Like it's the center of the space, just like the spine is the center of the body almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Jay, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Yes, sorry. Now, if any one of you, any four of you, wish to say something which was so special for you in the residency, or something as a learning curve, what you learned out of this thing. And then after that, anybody can say this. And after that, I pass back to Valentina.
Joe, you want to start? I think you raise your hand. Your mic.
Oh, I just want to say the time zone is very important because we're so confusing. And then many times we have like, I'm late for the first call, which I'm very embarrassed. So I think I'm learning when work with at international scale that you need to be careful with the time zone. And yeah, in winter, I know Europe and the States, they will change time an hour earlier. That's very important.
Eva, you want to add something? What about you? Anything you want to share of this experience? Anything you learn out of this experience?
Yes, I think a little like Joe. It was at the beginning. It was a little confusing to try and set an hour for the meeting that was an acceptable hour for everybody, since we are so far away one from each other. And I would like to add also that, of course, I've learned a lot artistically, process and a lot of 3D processing and building. But I also learned a lot of English because I had it a bit rusty. And since I've entered here, it was like an express course of English with a lot of different accents and everything. And it was a very nice experience.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's one of the things about international cultural cooperation, right? It's really getting to know people and everything, and the language as well. So, Lubeni and Lucas, do you want to share a little bit about something you learned?
Yeah. For me, I agreed with you and Eva. You have to match timings from different people around the world. Also, getting connected to the English. Well, I'm used to do it, but also when you have to do it every week, and also not just every week in the meetings, but also the voice notes. The voice notes, as Lubenia said before, you have to start thinking in English again. So yeah, it's a challenge also. Also, I'm more used to meet people on stage or at the studio, and okay, that's how we work about performing arts, about performing artists also. So for me, connecting to the laptop, it's more about the theoretical, let's say, about the dance, and the project. It was hard because sometimes it's just okay, let's try this idea and we move this way, and okay, let's try also this concept, blah 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 blah. So yeah, it's a different approach to the same thing of creating, because this is how what I do is create, also what Lubenia does. So yeah, it was a different approach for me to match this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just going off what Lucas said, I think the online format is quite challenging for us. Like working with Lucas before, I know that both of us are we like the contact stuff, we like the physical stuff, and like being in a room and being able to feel everyone's energies and things like that. It's very different with the online format. But being in Malaysia, I've been doing online stuff for about 1 or 2 years now, and I wouldn't say it's the best, but we try to find creative ways to move around it. I think this residency specifically has made me pay attention to things around me that maybe I don't usually pay attention to. It made me investigate some things, my relationship with my home and how it has changed, I would say, with like this very long lockdown. At the same time, I wish it made me speak more Spanish. So maybe, Lucas, if we do something like this again, you have to force me to speak in Spanish. Like, don't answer anything in English. But I also learned a lot about Lucas. He kept me updated with his life and his endeavors, and I really hope that this is not the end of this exploration, that it continues and it goes somewhere. And we'll work on that maybe.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, to be able to continue something together and, just like maybe taking this experience of the residency as just a starting point. Please let us know if that is the case. We would love to be, involved and know how this is going to evolve for all of you. We don't have a lot of time left, so I'm just going to maybe pass the floor to Gael for one last question before we wrap up. Gael?
Very quickly, because anyway, you have answered a little bit, glimpses of the questions, but I had prepared two questions. One is a little bit, how did you, because you didn't use the language, the common language or English language to interact during the performance. You created your own communication tool through music, movements, or playing a game, this video game, creating this game. So, and I also noticed both couples of artists started by playing, like which part of the body for each room, etc. So how did you explore new languages, or did you decide at the beginning to use such a language, and what did you learn from this? And my other question, just if you want to say a glimpse of each, or the one you find more relevant. Now, what will we keep? Will we keep the virtual space as a platform to show your work and to meet artists, or will we keep it as a tool for artistic creation? Thank you.
Who wants to start?
I can. Oh.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to respond to the second question because it lingered in my head. I almost think that it would be interesting that the online platform has allowed us for maybe longer process. Like maybe we start development online, we start conversation, exploration, things that we can do by ourselves online, and then we move it to the physical space. So like Valentina was saying, that maybe this is a starting point, because I think the online format or having to do a residency like this forces a lot of conversation, and that can be the research part of it. And when we actually go, I think for movers, when we go into the physical space, all that information is already in the body, and we bring it to life, and maybe there is more depth, there's a foundation in the mind that later is translated to the body in person. So I think a hybrid, maybe starting virtual and then moving to physical. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I will also ask the second question because it also caught my attention. For me, in my case, I think that it's a nice tool to meet people and create online. I also have the opportunity sometimes with my crew to rehearsal online and so on. But I think if we are stick to performing arts, we have the commitment to take care of the profession, because otherwise, if too much or too many online content appears, then the essence of our profession will fly away, because it's not the same to watch things online than to watch it in person, because it's something unique that is never twice the same, because you never do a show twice again like the same show, because something happens always. It's not the same feeling. You are a different person every day. So I think we need to take care of the live shows. But anyway, I found these online tools really useful. Also for meetings, I use it for meetings in my company. So I find it really useful. But it's important to keep these things, these online things, bring it to real life and to live shows, because it's the way that we create our different to another stuff. So that's what keeps performing arts alive.
Thanks. I liked your answers. Both.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lucas. Joe and Eva, what about you?
Can I let Eva answer? So up to you, Eva. I can go first if you want to.
Okay. I really agree with what Lucas just said about using the online tools, bringing them to the real life, because as a visual artist, the online environment is great for media or other kind of digital projects, but sometimes even when we are sharing our work in social networks like Instagram, for example, we focus too much on creating an image that is attractive online and less in creating something that is interesting in real life. I don't know if I explain myself. Like when making a painter, a canvas, for example, sometimes we focus more on it being good for the online environment than it being good like a personal experience. And for the first question about the languages and such, I really, for my part, I really didn't think about that. About we were using different languages or art language as a concept when we were working, because we have it so embodied, so internalized, like it's our language. But at the same time, we don't think of it as a language. It's just the way we have to express thoughts. It's visual sometimes, it's verbal sometimes, it's a sound sometimes. And I hope I answered something current.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I agree with Eva for the first question, because for me, like I'm a visual artist, so I'm strongly thinking visually, but I'm still making music lately, so I think it doesn't really matter to define like which language you should stick with, and then it will narrow your possibility. For the second question, I'm actually on the polar side, because thanks to quarantine and lockdown, that online digital become super popular and useful. That work for me, because most of my things are digital, and I also have problem with social life, and that's why I choose to work with computer. And I'm thinking about a lot about NFT and things come up now with crypto. So it actually I feel very I feel comfort, like I feel the comfort around me, because I can now work on like Instagram or social media and thing website to present myself, because I think I don't have that confidence during my teenage to do that. And I developed that because I was born in the internet. That's where I live, that's where I grow up. Or maybe now I'm thinking more about the post-human and about surrealism, about futuristic. So all that thing is made too surreal for people live in real life before the internet. But for me, or I don't know, maybe Eva, like Gen Z, we have different, like our brain functionally the screen. So to me, it's like that's the real world, and the world outside is the world I try to escape, and that's why I my cave is the computer and internet.
That's actually great, because for me, I mean, the four of you really embodied four very different ways of seeing this virtual world that for some reason we have to use more. For some of you, it's like a comfort zone. For some of you, it's a tool that we have to use. But at the end of the day, the physical, human, concrete interaction is also important. So it's really great, because I think in a way, with a very small group of people, only four of you, we've kind of have 4 very different experiences of this online journey that you've taken together for 6 weeks. Thank you very much. This was extremely interesting for me, and I think hopefully for all the people who will listen in. Just a few words to let you know that the recording of this session will be part of the ASEM Cultural Festival, which will be from the 22nd to the 26th of November this month. So we will put online this recording, and then after that, it will be also available on the Casa Asia website and on Culture360, which is ASEF Arts website, where all the virtual residencies we have organized so far, 4 of them, are all available for you to see. Our 4 artists participating tonight have also created very interesting works in progress on our Instagram account. So I will really invite you to go and have a look at that to kind of follow the entire process from the beginning to the end. And I think in general, maybe a few words that I kind of capture here and there is that after all these negative things that we had to go through, the positive things is that I think we've been able to adapt, use the online, and then at the end of the day, maybe move on to something hybrid, like Lovenia was saying. I think that's very much the future of cultural exchanges and residencies, being able to combine this online component that before we didn't maybe expand on because we didn't need to, and that now we need more, but then being able at some point to really go back to, touch each other, hug each other, and really be able to have an exchange in person. I think for this, I'm going to wrap up for tonight this session. And again, thanking all of you for being part of this. And please keep in touch and let us know how your project evolves from now on. Thank you very much to our audience, and see you again soon. Good night.
Thank you.